Hey there, it's David H. Lawrence the 17th. This is going to be a tough video for me. I'm not sure if you've ever encountered or have been made aware of one of the most insidious diseases that we have in our society. If it's touched your family, your friends, it hadn't touched mine until I had a very innocent phone call maybe 6, 7 years ago with a dear friend, a fellow colleague in radio who's my news guy at the Big 1220 WGAR in Cleveland. And he also worked in television. For the longest time, he was a reporter for Channel 3. He pulled the lottery numbers for the Ohio Lottery every week. And he just had a great sense of humor, really funny, very creative guy. He and his family, just the salt of the earth. And after he'd been finished with radio and television, he formed a video company, shooting videos, doing documentaries, things like that, won some Emmys for them. And Betsy had the need for some video production, some on-site shooting, and I thought, oh, Bob would be great for this. So I called him in Cleveland, and our phone calls were normally salted with a lot of really dark humor. But this phone call was different. His speech was slow and halting and tentative, and I couldn't tell whether he was joking or he was seriously suffering. I just couldn't tell. And I finally said to him, listen, this isn't funny. Are you suffering from something medical? And there was a pause, and he said, yes, here. And he gave the phone to his wife, who let me know that Bob had been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, in his early 50s, Alzheimer's. I immediately burst into tears. I didn't know what to do. I learned over the next few years what to do when someone is in that situation. And I watched he and his family become involved in the Alzheimer's community, trying to find treatments and cures, and it's a tough slog. They have tried pretty much everything. They've looked at genetics, they've looked at diet, they've looked at medicines, they've looked at environment, they've looked at an incredible number of things. The drugs that they've created to try and treat Alzheimer's have had a 99% failure rate. And the only reason it isn't 100% is that there are still some drugs that are not out of testing yet, so there's no ruling on those yet. It's just crazy. And after I found out about his condition, I also narrated a book called League of Denial, which was about the NFL concussion crisis and the problems that football players and other players in contact sports have been having with concussions and dementia. And, I learned about CTE, which is chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and learned how to pronounce it as though I knew that phrase my whole life. Learned about amyloid proteins and tau and how the spots on the brain mean something. All it did was heighten the frustration of not being able to treat or cure this disease. They're kind of like connected to each other. And then this past January, I saw that there was an article in the journal Science Advances. And there was a study that shows great promise in getting to the root of what's causing this. They think. And they've had some other studies that have corroborated what they found in this one study. It turns out that this study concluded that Alzheimer's may be caused by something as simple as a microbe. And the microbe is called Porphyromonas gingivalis. Porphyromonas gingivalis. And if gingivalis sounds familiar, maybe you're thinking of gingivitis, which is what causes gum disease. It is a gum disease. And Porphyromonas gingivalis is the main bacterium involved in gingivitis and in gum disease. And it had already been identified as a risk factor for Alzheimer's. So there'd been a correlation, but not a cause and effect connection. But now they're saying that the blood-brain barrier, which is kind of like this membrane barrier between one part of your body's systems with a lot of waste products in it and what needs to be a very, very carefully controlled, clean environment for the blood that goes to your brain can be breached by this bacterium. And they think it generates these amyloid proteins and tau and manifests itself as Alzheimer's. Now, this is not a cure. They also note that it's not just the microbe, but it's a combination of the microbe and potentially genetics being susceptible to this. But man, it's like, how does this happen? How does that microbe get past the blood-brain barrier? Well, it's in the mouth. And the mouth and the nose is physically close to the brain, but it's also connected in different ways than, say, the rest of your circulatory system or the other organs in your body. And of course, I'm no doctor, but I'm looking at this and I'm going, wow, this is a potential bombshell. This is potentially great news for people like Bob and others who suffer from this. Again, it's not a cure. And I just felt I had to share it because it's like a bright moment in what has been a really dark series of events. You know, I go and see him every so often, and I can see that he remembers me because he brightens up, he changes, and he giggles, and I miss the guy I knew, and I love both the guy I knew and the guy he is today, and I'm hoping that this means that there might be a future that's different than what he's facing right now. So I don't know if there's anybody in your family that suffers from Alzheimer's or from other forms of dementia, but you might want to check it out. Again, it's the journal Science Advances. That's the name of the journal, Science Advances. I sure hope that this leads to something. I really do. I got nothing here that's going to increase your productivity or show you how to do voiceover better. I just wanted to share with you a story of hope. And I'd love to hear your stories of hope. I'd love to hear what connection you may have with this, if any at all. Leave me a comment below this if you're on votogogo.com. If you're watching this anywhere else, go over to votogogo.com. We got lots of great stuff for you there. If you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel and know when the next video comes out, it's going to be one a day for the rest of the year. Go ahead and click on my head there. If there's no head, no face, go ahead and find a subscribe button somewhere on the page. If you want to see the latest video I've released, click on that frame and YouTube will play it for you. I'm David H. Lawrence the 17th. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.